welcome back to Grounded and Soaring. My name is Terry DeBow, and I run the communications office at Marin Montessori School. This is the last episode of our second season of our podcast. First of all, I want to thank everyone for listening, if you are out there. And we wanted to offer something that might be useful to families as they're heading off into summer. And so the topic today is how we're going to help you prevent the summer slide. Now, I was a teacher for a long time in middle schools and high schools, and I definitely saw it. And I ran across some sobering data that might be useful or sobering. So it turns out kids in grades 3 to 5 lose about 20% of their school year gains in reading and 27% in math. In grades 5 through 6, 84% of students experience some summer slide in math. And the more kids learn during the school year, the more likely they're going to lose it over the summer. So it's a real thing. And so we thought it'd be helpful to talk to the level directors about strategies and techniques for how we might avoid the summer slide while also preserving the joys of summer. So we're going to go level by level. You're going to hear from everybody at Marin Montessori, and hopefully you'll get some developmentally appropriate, actionable steps for you. And after it's all over, I'll be back at the end say a couple final notes. So hope you enjoy.
All right, Siri, we're going to talk about summer and the youngest kids. So I'm asking a version of this question to everybody, but can you talk a little bit about the distinctive developmental needs of children in your group, age 18 months to 5, and the role that summer plays in their lives?
Thank you, Terry. So during the summer, whether your child's 18 months or 5 years old or anywhere in between, they're going to continue working to become a fully formed human, right? They're on that trajectory no matter what we do, no matter what time of year it is. So they're working by the inner drives that they have, just the inborn inner drives on movement. That's why children are always on the go. They're working on their gross motor milestones. They're working on their fine motor milestones as they might pick up a small object. They're working on communication. So they need really a rich language environment to build that up. They're learning social and emotional skills. Really, most importantly, any social group that they might be a part of, they're learning the ways of that group. So thinking about all of those fronts of human development and where your child is, meeting them where they are, and then supporting them to have positive experiences and positive opportunities for development across all those fronts. Of course, the intellectual pursuits of language, reading and writing, mathematics, counting, those also are part of it. And then just a sense of wonder for our natural environment as well.
Yeah. So summertime obviously is got a lot more freedom and maybe more time for play. Can you talk a little bit about some Montessori-aligned activities the parents can introduce during the summer for young kids?
Sure. So a few concepts to think about that mirror what we do in the environment are preparing the adult. So whether that be a sitter or a parent who's caring for the child, making sure that that adult is calm, cool, collected, and positive, and ready to give age-appropriate choices to the child and agency when possible. And also ready to follow that child, ready to go on a wandering walk with them and let them really lead the way when it's appropriate and safe. You also want to think about your indoor and outdoor environments. If you have an indoor space, looking around your room and really accessing a little bit of that Montessori and the home wisdom to have a shelf, available for your child, maybe a help yourself shelf where there are different modalities depending on your child's age, something to squish, something to build with, something to either look at as a picture book. Maybe it's a board book for a toddler, or maybe for a 3-year-old, it's a beautiful picture book from the library. Maybe for a 5, it's a beginning reader. So something to look at and read. Thinking about painting. What is your comfort zone for mess and how can you, support that and guide it? Are you more comfortable having an easel outside for painting? Or do you want to have a small watercolor set for the kitchen table? And setting up those parameters so that along with our environment where they have everything at the ready, in your home environment, they have everything at the ready for painting, for drawing, for looking at books, for some numeracy work. Puzzles are great and you can take your child along. Puzzles, they tend to be labeled with the ages. So having a puzzle that's at their age level, and then having sort of free open activities like musical instruments, as long as you're not doing a Zoom call, right? Maybe you want to have a CD player where they can play some music and dance to it. And thinking about care of their environment, how can they clean up if they make a spill? So having some cloths ready. How can they care for plants? Maybe if you have some in your home, a small watering can. If you have an outdoor space, an outdoor garden, or even a porch, can they take care of those plants out there? So just giving them a variety of ways to contribute in their home. And depending on the age of your child, think about having, maybe some snacks at the ready that are healthy and safe for them to eat. Maybe that's on a little spot that's labeled for them in the fridge that they can access. Or maybe you have a chilled pitcher of water that then they can pour. So keeping things child size, accessible, simple, and allowing them to participate in the cleanup and just collaboration, showing them little lessons on how to do things, and then allowing them to really practice and to get the feedback loop of repetition and self-perfection. Those are some of the kind of key Montessori principles, I would say.
So sometimes a lot of time available to families. Are there adventures that you could imagine them doing in a simple way that could
Absolutely.
independence during and curiosity during summer?
Absolutely. So just keeping in mind your child's stamina and as well as your own time constraints and setting everybody up for success. I would say that short and sweet often is fantastic, and having a routine and keeping your routine. Don't throw out your whole routine. You worked hard for it all year long, so keep aspects of it going. And so you might have some quiet activity time in the morning. You might have breakfast, you might have some quiet activity time, you might have lunch, you might have nap time, and then maybe you want to go to the park to get some energy out. Maybe that's at the end of your work day, from 3 until 5, it's hot. Maybe you want to do some splashing, maybe you want to get your toes in some water. So thinking about maybe an hour and a half in the afternoon before the dinner time routine and then the bedtime routine comes. Or if you have the capacity in your work day that you want to front load that attention in the morning, maybe before it gets too hot, you want to go on a nature walk. But certainly nature walks, trips to the beach, an hour and a half is ample. And just giving them your time attention, even if it's 30 minutes or an hour and a half, when you can do that fully, attentively, you'll really enjoy that.
Okay, so I'm asking everyone this kind of the same last question, just more about parenting and parents. Do you have any advice for parents of this age kid, so how they can take best advantage of it, knowing that it's fleeting? What should parents keep in mind?
Yeah, I'm a fan of mantras. Anyone who's heard me talk before, I always have my little mantras of things. I think parenting is a long game is one that I think of often, and just enjoy the moment with your child and really be present when you can, and then let them know when you need to work, and finding ways to have parallel play is another thing that I think is really nice. So start slowly with, okay, I'm front loading attention with my child. We're going to work on something together. And then I'm going to set them up to work a little bit independently. And I'm going to let them know a boundary that, okay, I'm over here. Even if it's a weekend, I'm reading my book and you can read your book, and start to find out how you can enjoy being together. And then find out ways that you can be near each other, but not talking. And then finding and helping your child to learn those distinctions. But yeah, just enjoy them. Hug them, love them, and just keep up your routine. They will always want one more book at bedtime, and when the sun is out, we might be tempted to keep them at the park a little too long. Bring everything to a graceful close and keep your routine so that everyone feels well rested and is ready for the next day. Sleep is so important, and the just right level of activity is also important to keep in mind. One more tip, a favorite of mine is go to the library regularly with your child, whether they be a toddler or a 6-year-old. Have a little tote bag, get them their book card, and show them how to interact with the librarians there and how to select books that are just right for them, and involve counting as well. You can take out 5 books and have them put it up at the checkout. Just these little community interactions are really empowering for them. If you go out to the restaurant and your child is 4, allow them to order. May I please have the pancakes, and practice these little grace and courtesies. Invite them in to be the capable little mini future adults that they are capable of being, and just enjoy lots of good times together, dance, sing, laugh, and when in doubt, let them know, oh, that didn't work, we'll try again tomorrow. That's why tomorrow was invented is another one of my mantras that I think can give us all grace if we need it. So yeah.
Right. Well, great. Well, and that's in and out it'll be school. The school year will start again, and we'll be back at the fall. So
We'll be excited to welcome them back.
okay. Well, thank you, Siri. Appreciate you joining.
My pleasure. Bye.
All right, mini whales. Let's talk about summer and elementary age kids.
I am ready.
You're ready. Okay. So I'm asking this first question to everybody. Can you talk a little bit about the distinctive developmental needs of children, in your case, age 6 to 12, and the role summer break plays in their life at this age?
Sure. When I saw this question, I thought about 3 characteristics in particular of elementary children. One, that they are social beings. This is the period of great social development. 2, and related to that, that they're really interested in developing a sense of responsibility for themselves and also a sense of kind of morality and right and wrong. And then the final one is that this is such a big period of intellectual development. Ginormous brain work happens at this age. And so I was going to talk a little bit about those 3 things and what could be done during the summer to support those 3.
Yeah, and maybe if it's possible to distinguish, because age 6 and age 11 are different ages and different stages. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about, how it evolves over time. But yeah, tell us a little bit about, the kind of activities that can be structured around all this that takes advantage of those developmental needs.
Yeah. So around the social development piece, summer is such a good time for kind of capitalizing on the free time to get our children together with peers and to, schedule lots of play dates. And actually the thing that I think is especially good to focus on in the summer is sleepovers, because this is actually a natural time, even at the beginning of elementary. It's a natural time that children start to become more interested and connected to peers, and actually a little bit less connected like this to family. There's a separation from family that they go through. So it's a really natural time to start doing sleepovers if they haven't done them yet. And summer is such a good time to schedule that, even for our youngest students who will all go on trips next year during the school year. So if we start sleepovers now, it's a great way to also prepare them for the trips that will come next spring. And in terms of around sleepovers or spending a little bit of time away from family, as our children get older, they're ready for, a little bit longer and longer stays. We certainly have Upper L kids who do summer camp for a month over the summer and love it. And so these opportunities to be with peers and friends and spend a little time away from family actually is a really good way to use summer. So that's what I was going to say about the social piece. My big recommendation there. In terms of opportunities for responsibility, my huge recommendation here is just that you use the summer to make sure that your children have chores and opportunities to contribute at home. That's where I would start. Making sure they have jobs that they are responsible for, expected to do, and can do every day and every week. Summer's a really good time to set up the systems for that, and then they can continue through the school year, which is great. It's also a good time to kind of stretch responsibility beyond the house, and so to start going on some safe walks in the neighborhood, initially with parents or older siblings, and then once it's plotted out and agreed on, then being able to do some walks on their own is a great way to work on their developing responsibility over the summer. And then also inviting them to plan some activities for the whole family. Letting your children plan a game night for the family to enjoy, or letting your children plan a meal that they, choose the dishes, write the grocery list, go to the grocery store, prepare the food, and maybe even make menus for everybody. Is a great way for them to practice stretching their responsibility muscles also. The last piece was around intellectual development. And this is a little bit what this podcast's topic is, right? And I'll just start here by saying the summer is really a time mostly to keep the flame alive for them. They have some interests and passions, and this is the time the elementary years are the time where their intellectual capacity drives curiosity and they get interested and curious about lots of things. And summer is a time to just support that. If they're interested in, sea lions, take them out to the beach to see the sea lions. If they're interested in art, take them to the museum and the art store so they can make some of their own. If they're interested in any various topic, take them to the library so that they can continue to dive into the areas in which they're really interested. It's a great time for that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking my 20-year-old is about to get on a plane to South Africa because she's interested in wildlife sanctuaries. And so she's going to go feed cheetahs and crocodiles. So I would just say, be careful. We did send her to do something when she was 8, and all of a sudden now she's flying across the world. So, but she's really excited about it. Okay, so
she is responsible, and
she is responsible. Yes, Minnie.
Gotten to the point you can trust her to do that.
That's correct. It's parental anxiety. It's parental anxiety. Okay, well, so how can summer activities maybe be structured around children's choices and their interests to encourage this kind of learning that you talked about? Is there anything like maintaining a reading schedule, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So this is the question specifically about summer melt. And I'm going to name 2 things that just about everybody can be working on. And then I have some more to say. But for the 2 things, everyone should be reading for at least 30 minutes a day. The house should be set up with that expectation and also set up for success with it. We should know as parents when the time is that our children are going to be doing that 30 minutes of reading, and we should prepare the environment so that it's quiet and calm and there aren't a lot of outside distractions pulling them away from being able to keep their focus on the book during that time. And every reader from a 6-year-old to 12-year-old and beyond benefits from having a parent sit with them and listen to them read and talk to them about what they have been reading. I'm just going to call everybody's attention to a really wonderful document on the website, which is the Elementary Reading Guide for Families that we put together with the guides and our learning support team. It is a really helpful tool for families who are wanting to deepen their support of their children's reading development. So that's the first one, and probably the most important academic thing to be doing over the summer. Make sure you keep that reading practice going and discussion about books going. The second one is to practice math facts, multiplication tables. Do that work. There is not a magic Montessori way to memorize the multiplication tables. They really just have to practice them over and over again, like everybody has to in order to memorize those math facts. So that is a really good thing to be working on at home also. But more important probably than either of those things, I want you to consider letting the natural rhythms of life happen over the summer. The truth about summer melt is that when any child is not at school, or I would argue any adult is not at school over the summer, they do lose some of the learning that they have gained. I lose some things over the summer also. And when I come back in the fall, I work until I've got them back up. And that happens for children too. Everybody loses a little bit over the summer and everybody gets it all back in the fall. Mm-hmm. So the most important work of the summer is, as I mentioned above, pursuing our interests and curiosities and having regular opportunities to contribute to home life, as I said. The harder skills to regain over the summer, if we've lost them, are skills around independence. Mm. So making good choices, cleaning up after ourselves, taking responsibility for the impact we have on other people and on our surroundings. Those are the skills that are harder to get back in the new year once summer is over. The academic skills that children had and have waned a little bit over the summer, they come back pretty quickly in the fall. And so I just invite you to stay in practice with encouraging responsibility and independence for your children, and relax a little bit about the academic skills that are absolutely going to come back. Now, your teachers will all be sending home some recommendations for the summer, and do heed those. Do heed those, and also be at ease. Your children will gain these skills back.
Right, right. And those habits of independence, that's a muscle you have to keep exercising, and absolutely. Okay. Moving on to this next topic about technology, oftentimes summertime can be kind of an enticing time to relax, and nowadays relaxing often means using some sort of device. Do you have any tips about how parents can limit the role of technology and not getting into like a battle of wills around phones, etc.?
Yes. So I was thinking about two strategies here. One is ensure that you have plenty of things to say yes to. Have a lot of activities that your children can do at home that you get to say, yeah, you can do that. Yes, you can absolutely make breakfast this morning. Yes, you can build that structure in the yard. Yes, you can plant a garden. Yes, you can do that art project. Yes, we have the supplies for that. Have lots of things that you get to say yes to. Because if you say no all the time to everything, then when you really need to say no on the important things, it's harder. It's harder for it to land. So if you've got lots of things you can say yes to, the no's are more meaningful and more easily heeded. And so the next thing I recommend is that you get really comfortable with your children's discomfort and boredom. They will want to use technology or be on screens if that is a possibility that they see. And the more kind of simply you say no and hold that line, the more quickly you will move through the kind of battle of wills moment. And that requires that when you first say that no, you are okay with however your child is going to react, because they're going to try and see if they can get some movement. But if you can develop a little muscle and comfort around experiencing your children's discomfort and boredom, you're going to be better equipped to move through that moment. The other thing I would do is really decide as a family or as parents what your values are around technology, and hold your limits consistently. As I said, where battles of will grow are when children sense that there's some wiggle room. They have the idea that there might be a possibility. They might be able to find a way in. Then they are going to stay at it. They're really smart and great at figuring out if they might be able to get this thing if they keep trying. So if you're consistent with your limits, if you have a really strong sense of what your values are around this, and your rules are based on those values, so you can feel strong in holding them every time, and you build up some comfort with whatever reaction your child is going to have around it, you're going to get through those no moments relatively smoothly and quickly. So those are my recommendations.
I think the yes thing is really important. Definitely someone who's experienced. I've always been the no guy, and it's no fun, and it has the effectiveness wears down after a while. So love it. All right, last question, asking this of everybody. Do you have any advice for parents of your age kids, elementary age kids, so they can best take advantage of their time with their kids, just parent to child? Like, any advice about that?
Yeah, I think these are the things I would start with. I would start a practice of family meetings, having a regular time to. What's that? You're a fan of those?
Well, you are, I know, and yeah. We are.
Yes. I am really a fan of them. They're such a nice way to ensure a connection with the whole family every week. And again, summer where there's a little bit more spaciousness and you feel like you can set up some systems that you haven't yet set up, but then those systems can last throughout the school year. It's just a great time to set up the family meeting. It's also a great time, as I said earlier, to set up a system for regular chores. And again, once you get that system set up, it can extend through the school year and into the future. So it's a great time to do that. And I will say both of those things are times now, if I think back on when my children were elementary aged, I'm not saying these because I want to punish parents. I'm saying them because they were sources of real joy in our family. We loved getting together for the family meetings, and we loved getting together and figuring out how we were going to decide who was going to do chores and getting through chores together. It became really fun. We loved making playlists for chore days. So we actually really had a lot of fun doing those things. The other things, and I think I've kind of mentioned everything, but the other things I would focus on are making sure as parents that you learn your child's interests and you support their following those pursuits. Have paper and pencils and art supplies organized and accessible so your children can get to them independently. Go to the library, go to museums, go to, whatever it is that your child might be interested in. Go to botanical gardens. You might get an idea from what I'm saying, what my interests are right now. Go to plays. I guess I could say that would be following one of my kids' interests. But figure out what it is that they're interested in and support those passions and develop some shared experiences around the things that they love.
Yeah, and that's a long tail. I mean, it really does have consequences down the road as kids get older, that they know that you supported them and that you were interested in their interest, and they weren't just following you. So anyway, all right, Minnie Wells, always a great time. Two more. All right.
Yes, I'm so sorry. One, don't forget to support their social connections in the elementary, as I've said. And then the final thing that I want to say is to relax a little bit. Enjoy the feeling of summer that is that nostalgic summer feeling that we think of when we think of summer. Let life unfold in the natural way that it is meant to. Trust your child and the miracle of their development and just enjoy their company.
Yeah. Good advice.
Yeah.
All right. Glad we stayed for that. All right, Minnie, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Bill, happy summer eve. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really good. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. All right, so I'm talking to all the levels directors and want to help parents get some tips about how to manage the summer slide and also how to take advantage of summer. So could you talk a little bit about the distinctive developmental needs of junior high students, so adolescents, and the role that summer plays in their lives?
Yeah. Well, first of all, summer is almost becoming outdated, right? Because it's originally support an agrarian lifestyle. And over time, through modernization and things, it's become less significant. And it is really an interruption in the educational cycle. And, we have a farm. So to some degree, it'd be really great to have school during the summer so we could farm and use it for what it was intended for. That being said, I know everyone needs a break, and it's part of our culture now to take a break. I certainly recommend me taking a break and them. Developmentally, they still need to be involved, have expectations of them doing constructive work. It doesn't have to be academic work, but they should still have meaning and purpose.
So can you think about, the other thing about it in the adolescence in this time of life is this emphasis on independence and choice and, as they're getting older. Considering all of that, how can junior high students use their summer break to explore personal interests and things that are about them? But also while also making sure that you keep your academic skills,
Yeah, so that's a really complex question. Let's unpack that a little bit. So, we're also in a stage in our country where adolescents have less choice. Most of their time outside of school is structured. And so in some ways, that's really difficult for them. I think things that would support them, is to pursue or identify their passion projects. So, for example, we do personal odyssey projects here at Marin Montessori School, and that helps them dial in the things that they're really passionate about and present it in some way. So I think if parents could just tap into their natural passions and then help them create structures around that. They certainly need to be busy and they certainly need to run routines. So partnering with the students and saying, this is, this is a routine we're going to run. It's Monday through Friday, maybe weekends. These are expectations of you. Does this make sense to you? What can we expect, as far as your contribution? I think that'd be a way to partner with them in which they do have some say and some choice. I think, or these are the identifying or doing some research on what types of summer activities there are, and then there's the academic choices. Reading is kind of a dying art, unfortunately, and encouraging them to read. We will certainly be issuing a reading list and asking students to read 2 books, but reading nice, solid content is really helpful. And then we also ask that they do some math, but just pursuing it as a little bit more casually and based on interest and level of challenge, I think would be the right approach.
Yeah. Well, so about that, a lot of students this age have required summer work, reading, math packets like that. How do you advise parents to manage that without maybe resorting to, rewards and punishments or a battle of wills or all the rest?
That's I think that's part of that summer plan. I think if you're coming up with the summer plan and where the benchmarks are. So basically the parents now become, or were always the CEOs of the house company, and having the students have those markers. The summer homework that we give isn't too burdensome. And I will say I've been doing this for a really long time, and the schoolwork usually comes in the last part of the summer. People are rushing, but that's not really meaningful reading. That's kind of rushed reading.
Right.
And so creating timelines for them, and I think not punishment, but, accountable measures of accountability, that you didn't meet your mark and consequences are okay. So we're going to limit this. You need to read this much, each day. And I think if that should be part of your original summer setup, then I think it's less difficult to have to enforce when it's a clear expectation. And you can actually work with them to come up with what the consequences should be.
Yeah. It sounds like part of what needs to happen is at the beginning of summer, you make a plan.
Yeah, that's right.
One of those meetings and say, okay, this is how it's going to roll. It's not that long. It can feel, when you start it can feel like interminable, but it's a matter of weeks. So building out a schedule is probably a good idea.
Yeah. And I think hitting it while the momentum is still on the school side, if you wait too long, then it's hard to bring them back out of summer mode.
Yeah.
And, I know they're going to want to play some video games here or there, but being isolated in your room for a long period of time on devices just really kills the momentum for a lot of them. So I would avoid that trap right out the gate, because, the original perception is that they just need some massive downtime. So we're just going to give them a week off. But that actually, I think they're more resilient than that, and they can transition into activity much quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe let's end with this. I'm asking everyone, all the level directors, same question at the end, which is advice for parents of this age kids for how parents can take the best advantage of this time with their children. You and I both have kids who've flown the nest a little bit. You can look back at summer kind of with some nostalgia. Do you have any nuggets of wisdom for parents?
Well, I was really lucky because I've always been in education, so I've had summers off. But finding quality time to spend with your child, a lot of families are continuing to work through summers.
Yeah.
So they don't have an ease up in their schedule, but scheduled dinners, scheduled activities. I think it's really, really important, even if they resist you, to try to find conversations about what they're interested in and how they're doing, and really listening, avoiding the judgment part of those conversations, but just letting them kind of express themselves in a empathetic listening kind of way, on the side of the parents. goes a long way, not in a reactionary, or you said you were going to do this, you said you were going to do that. Maybe you should think the way I think or go this direction, but more just like, tell me who you are, or talk about some of the events that are happening in our world, maybe not the more complicated ones, but just, if they're into sports, talk about sports. If they're into if they're into the stars, talk about the astronomy developments. If they like to read, there's certain characters, learn about their characters.
Yeah.
That they're interested in, those kinds of things.
Well, and also to just recognize where you are in time and space. Like it's, you have a finite amount of time with your kids. So do whatever will keep them engaged with you and want to hang out with you.
I will say this, and this too, it speeds up. And they're out of the house pretty soon. If you're at the junior high already, it's wrapping up.
It is. Not to put any fear in anybody, but yeah, it goes slow and then it speeds up. That's how that works. Speeds up,
because then you have high school, and that's a time of separation, individuation. It's different than here. And then they go to college, and you really do want them calling you when they're in college.
Yeah.
So you're kind of laying the foundation for being a safe person right now.
Yeah.
That'd be my key advice.
Yeah, that's right. You want to be the person that they feel they want to talk to.
Yeah.
And when they need you. So, all right, Bill, I hope you have a good summer.
You too, Terry.
All right. Well, I want to thank Bill, Minnie, and Siri for joining me and sharing some strategies and a vision for a summer that balances learning with the essential freedoms that make summer such an important time in life. And hopefully those techniques helped you. I also want to take a second to thank you for listening this year. We look at the data and get a sense that there is an audience for these podcasts and the other content that's on Grounded and Soaring. So I really appreciate it. All of us here do. We hope that you appreciate it as well and that it's been of use to you. We're going to take some time off over the summer to recharge our batteries, and we'll be back for season 3 starting in August. We've got some big ideas that we're hoping will be exciting for you. Our goal is, as we continue to navigate the challenges and rewards of parenting and teaching, that you think and remember that you have allies in your corner at Marin Montessori School, and we're here to support you. If you have topics that you'd like us to explore, just go over to the website, groundedandsoaring.org, and go to the Contact Us page, and you can just send us a note about something you're interested in. In the meantime, I hope you take some time to explore the other podcast episodes, the blog posts, etc. And please tell your friends. Part of what we're trying to do here is to expand our reach, let people know what's going on at the school, and that other people get some help with these challenges of raising kids today. So thank you again. Really appreciate it. And here's to a great summer.